Hey everyone, this is Dave from the All Sports 83 YouTube channel, and this video is going to be the beginning of a line of videos where we get a chance to interview and chit-chat with some of the GoFast e-racing series members. Today's our first video. We're going to be talking to KU B-Ball fan. Going to jump into a lobby with him and just do a little bit of racing and just talk a little bit about himself and let everybody get a chance to get to know him. So hope you enjoy this video, and we're going to have some more to come in the following weeks. But we're going to start with KU B-Ball fan. Hope you enjoyed it, and let's get started. All right, KU B-Ball fan, welcome to the GoFast Interview. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right, good deal. Hey, listen, before we get too deep into this interview, I got to know about this gamer tag. What's the creativity behind that?
Yeah, so KU, that stands for Kansas University. That's actually the first school I went to college to.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've always been a huge Kansas basketball fan, and so that kind of explains most of the name, man.
Cool, cool. So obviously this is more of a NASCAR thing. So why don't you tell everybody kind of how you got into NASCAR and you know what brought you into being a part of esports and being a part of the NASCAR
Yeah.
Heat franchise?
So the first NASCAR race at Kansas Speedway was 2001. And I don't think it was that year, but it was one of the first few years that it was there. We had gone to a race there, me, my dad, and one of my friends and his dad. And I mean, I had like some like toy die casts, and that was when I was like younger. That was when I was like 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. So I kind of knew like a little bit about who some of the paint schemes were from just like the die casts and that sort of thing. But yeah, just going to that race and the sounds of the car and hearing those all go by, and it was at that age. It's just so it's just so cool watching them like from that age, and seeing all these cars go by so fast, because I had never experienced anything like that before. The 2007 season, that's when I like started watching every single race. I just started the '07 like Daytona 500 when Harvick beat Mark Martin to the line at the end. From that point on, I've watched probably every single race.
I would always say that maybe part of the answer for me, and you can speak to this if you want, is there's a
Yeah,
little bit of a science behind it. I mean, it's not, at first glance, it's certainly just a bunch of cars, going in circles if you're not really paying too much attention to the science of it. But there's a whole lot more that goes into it, and I think that there's
yeah.
there's almost like this endless world of things to learn and understand that really changes what you're seeing on the screen, or what you're seeing when you're at the track. Would you think that's true?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And even more like now, and sort of getting into like other NASCAR, getting into NASCAR video games. I think the first one I got was like NASCAR '09. Like that was like one of the first ones I really remember getting into. But the thing is, like, playing those games and having to drive the cars, I think I gained like even more like of an appreciation of just how difficult certain moves are that they make on the track and how easy they make it look.
I know that through previous conversations, I do know that Dale Earnhardt Jr. was your favorite race car driver when he raced. So tell
Yeah.
me, why Dale Jr.? Why is he your favorite?
Yeah. I remember, I want to say it was like 2003 or something like that. And I don't know why I remember watching this race. I think it was a Talladega race. And I remember watching Dale Jr. and Michael Waltrip, and they just like teamed up at Talladega, and they just pretty much dominated the entire race. Because I knew a little bit about Dale Earnhardt, and that was just like a step sort of before my time because I was born in '96, so I'm 23. Um, uh, but that was just a step before, and I like sort of knew about how great he was and that sort of thing. Um, and so that sort of drew me to like his son. And I just had seen him in some of these bigger plate tracks work together and that sort of thing. And that.
If you could change one thing about NASCAR Heat 4, let's say you're in the boardroom, you've got all of the guys that make the decisions, you've got the programmers, and you could have whatever you wanted. One thing, what would you change about the game?
I think the apron would. I think it's gotten a little bit better in this game in the sense that it doesn't completely spin you out like it did in Heat 3, but I still don't think it quite hit it right. It's like once you touch it, it seems to really just shoot you up the track, which I know is not realistic because you see guys at certain places and they can get on that a little bit and it helps the car turn, but it doesn't spin you out. So I think that might be the next thing I'd look at for. I guess they didn't update for this or Heat 5 or whatever they want to do.
Speaking of your skills, I know you are somewhat of a late addition to the GoFast e-racing series. I think you've 11 starts. So obviously, just because of your late entry, you kind of missed the playoffs. But since then, man, you've kind of been on a tear. I think it's like 8 top fives and 11 starts. You currently have the position for the best of the rest award, which is the highest finisher that's not involved in the playoffs. The champion of the series and the best of the rest award winner will get a pretty nice perk for the beginning of the next season. Basically, both of those drivers will have the power to eliminate one track from the season of next season, and then that track would get replaced with another track based on driver vote. So the question for you is if you're able to hang on and get that best of the rest award, have you been thinking about what track you may eliminate from next season?
Yeah, that's a tough one. You know, I I'm thinking Sonoma because the other two road courses, the Roval and Watkins Glen, I just feel like I have more experience on. But Sonoma, for some reason, I can never get the tires to hook up there, and all NASCAR games, I've always been terrible at that track for whatever reason. So,
It's interesting. We love being in these leagues and racing in these public lobbies and doing our career mode and everything. But really, at the end of the day, even with our 50% races and all that, really, we're just, a bunch of guys sitting in our favorite recliner. Biggest thing we have to worry about is, getting a thumb cramp or something. It kind
right.
of, in a way, kind of gives you a little bit of appreciation for what the real drivers do. And there's always been a controversy kind of around NASCAR. And I kind of get your thoughts on this. What would you say to someone who told you that NASCAR drivers are not real athletes?
Just that they're arrogant and they don't. The people that say it are the people that don't know anything about NASCAR whatsoever, and they just assume that because they see people steering a wheel that that's all they do, and they associate it with their own. They're driving in their Honda Civic and turning the wheel, and they're acting like that's all that it takes to drive one of these cars, and that's not how it works. I think the I think they definitely are athletes. The fact that you're sitting in a fire suit, um, completely strapped in. You have extremely little movement you can have in this car. Strapped in there for 3+ hours at 130 plus degrees most weeks. And you're having to control a car that's it has to be out of control if you're going to be fast, and people don't understand that.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like your typical 20-minute commute to work every day, does it?
Exactly.
Well, listen, I got one more question for you, and this one's definitely just open-ended, and you can take this whatever direction you want. Obviously, being a member of the GoFast e-racing series, this is your opportunity to be uninterrupted. You can let me know what you think about the series, good, bad, or indifferent. Let me know what you're thinking about the series and what you'd like to see moving forward out of the GoFast e-racing series.
Yeah. I think one, you know, I'm new to league racing, so this has been a very well run league, I think, and so you've done a very good job with this, and getting the website going, and I feel like for the most part, there are very little issues in this league because for the most part, we all seem to get along and that sort of thing. I like the fact that it follows the actual schedule of, the real NASCAR season. And so we can watch it over the weekend and then, get into an actual, race of some distance, for some points. And I like the setup. I like the 50% setup, and I like, how we get to qualify for a little bit, have a little bit of practice in that qualifying, and then the stage point payouts. Since we have 8 drivers in this league, just giving it to the top 3, I think, is the way to do it, instead of maybe the other way. It could have been like top 5 or that sort of thing. So I think it's a nice balance in terms of the points. I think maybe one thing we could look at is I just went around. One thing we could look at is we're in another league, and we just started using heat races, which I think it's just a nice sort of way to start the night off, because instead of looking for that one fast lap, everybody's just running how they would be the rest of the night, and nobody's really worried about getting in each other's way, I guess, because you're just we're racing as we would. So I think that's something to look at. But yeah, I think for the most part, I've enjoyed my time thus far. I wish I would have been able to start at the beginning of the season, so I'd be in the mix for this championship. But I'm gonna do my best to try to hold on to the best of the rest title and try to knock Sonoma off the list of tracks for next year.
Good deal, man. Well, listen, I know that a lot of guys have said that you're a great addition to the series. I certainly feel that way, and I think you're the perfect guy to be a part of our first GoFast interview. So I appreciate you coming on and letting everybody know a little bit more about yourself, and I'm sure those guys will be checking you out on the YouTube channel, and they'll be seeing you glimpsing,
Yes,
probably whizzing by me on my recap videos. So, but thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate you taking a little time out for me.
Yeah, that was fun. Thanks for doing it.